Alright, hey everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. So as promised, we're getting around to the newest chapter of Spy Family this weekend as well. So if you haven't already seen, we have a couple of read-throughs that came out this weekend. So we got around to the latest volume of Bride's Story, as well as the last little bit of the new Monsters volume that came out. So I really enjoyed that quite a bit. I was looking forward to it for a long time. So I'm glad to have gotten those out of the way. Apart from that, like I mentioned on those other videos, since I've now completed a majority of my read-through series, we're going to be starting a new one next weekend, hopefully. So we're going to be getting around to Kentaro Miura's Berserk next week. So this one that's been highly recommended to me. One that I've tried to start and finish a couple of times, but because of just not having access to volumes and stuff like that, it was a little bit difficult. But I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, apart from that, Happy New Year. I want to thank you all for having, stayed with the channel for this long. If you haven't already, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Here is what I hope is a good 2025 for everyone. But without further ado, let us dive into it with Spy Family Chapter 109 by Tetsuya Endo, with translation by Casey Lowe and lettering by Rina Mappa. So you see Lloyd putting on his best customer service voice and face as he goes, "Good day to you, Miss Desmond. My name is Dr. Forger and I'll be taking care of you." And she does just like a little karate, like defensive pose against him. And she's just like looking all scared, like defensive, and he's just like surprised. And she's like, "You're yours husband, correct?" And of course, we have translation by Casey Lowe and lettering by Rina Mappa. And she's like, "I only came here at her urging, but she said you might strike me as part of your treatment." And he's like, "So that's it." It's like, "Don't worry about that. Please, let's have a nice, peaceful conversation." And he goes, "It appears that Yor has been gradually deepening her relationship with Melinda. So much so that she's provided an inadvertent assist on my mission." And he goes, "You listed headaches, insomnia, diminished appetite. When did all of these symptoms begin? Can you think of anything that might have triggered them?" She's kind of just like looking like nervous, looking down. And he's like, "Please feel free to speak openly with me. As a doctor, I'm bound by an oath of confidentiality, so I won't divulge the contents of our discussions or the fact that you're being treated here to anyone, including my wife, of course. In the extremely unlikely event that our sessions were to cause you any harm, I would expect and encourage you to report me to the authorities." Excuse me. And she goes, "You're a strong man. It's impressive how you deal with patients like this on a daily basis. I think the same thing whenever I see Yor. You both strike me as so lively." And the butler bodyguard's like, "But Madam Desmond, you're no less impressive. I know how hard you work as the wife of the chairman." And Lloyd's like, "Do you not consider yourself to be lively?" And she's like, well," and he's like, "I may be a doctor, but I'm still a human being. There are many aspects of my job and daily life that take a toll on my mental health. And when that happens, I too schedule an appointment to vent about them to a colleague. There is no crime and no shame in not being strong enough, Miss Desmond." He's like, "Melinda Desmond, and while you may be the wife of a party chairman, you too are a human being. And so, it's like, whatever little pieces of intel you know that might be of use to Operation Strix, won't you please disclose them to me?" He seems like looking for us and for like all eagerly like a friggin' praying mantis. He's like, "Even if it's only little by little, I hope that you'll open yourself up to me, to share whatever might be troubling you, so that I can help you find a solution." And she closes her eyes and goes, "Nora, would you wait for me outside, please?" He's like, "As you wish, madam." And as he has the clocks ticking, she takes a sip of her tea and goes, "This tea is excellent." And he's like, "It's imported from Bulgaria. If you'd like, I can give you the retailer's address." And she's like, "You don't seem very much like a doctor." And he's like, "Oh, you don't think so?" It's like, "I was a patient here once before, a long time ago." Ooh, alrighty then. I'll wait till the end to see thoughts on that. And Lloyd's flipping through his little notebook is like, "Oh, indeed you were. I can't imagine there was much in the way of a psychiatry department back then, though. It's like back then we'd been weathering the uproar of the war and its end. The eyes of the nation and several other nations were upon us. It was a hard time. Even the doctor in charge of my care treated me with a great deal of trepidation." And he's like, "I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm grateful that you've come back to give us another chance. It's like meeting yours helped convince me that people nowadays may not even remember me as the former First Lady. That and Late though it may be, I think I finally accepted that I do need to change. That time I sought help as the spouse of a party chairman, but today I'm just here as a mother and as a wife. It's like, then I take it you're experiencing some sort of distress involving your family? And she closes her eyes and like kind of steadies herself and goes, "Tell me, doctor, do you believe Christ, man. Do you believe in UFOs?" And Lloyd's just completely taken aback, but he's like, it's like blank. It's like, by UFOs, you mean those? And he's like, not like pointing to a little. Hold on, I got the thing open on here, chapter open on here. Uh, but this is where I was spending like you're like a praying mantis, like about to eat its prey, just like getting all excited. But yeah, Matt points to like the little imaginary UFO that she's imagining. And he's like, "Oh, well," it's like, "What should I say? What's the right answer?" "No, as a clinician, my job is merely to hear her out without negating her." It's like a tough question. I haven't ever seen one myself, so it's like, then again, I've heard unsubstantiated rumors that Melinda's obsessed with the dark arts. Maybe I need to take a shot here. It's like, but that said, considering how vast the universe is, it would be no surprise to learn that we're not alone within it. And it's certainly exciting to consider the possibility that we're being visited by UFOs. I used to religiously read tales of UFO sightings and stuff that were published in a magazine called Mune. And I've looked over the investigative reports released by the Nordischen military. They're actually quite interesting. He's like, he really did read them. And it's like, and there's the recent case of the Bavette family abductions. Oh, I'm sorry, I got a little carried away with the topic. Are you well versed about UFOs yourself, Miss Desmond? I don't really know anyone with whom I'm able to seriously discuss the topic. And considering my occupation, it's a little sticky. And she's just silently watching as he's been blabbing on. He's like, "Oh, but of course, we were discussing your family. My apologies. Is there some connection between UFOs and your family?" And he's like, "Perhaps it's her sons who are interested in the topic and not Melinda herself? Or could it be that Donovan isn't in some way connected to space exploration?" And she's like, "It's about my husband, actually." And he's like, "It is Donovan." He's like, "In truth, my husband." Fucking Christ, man. All right. He's like, "Is an alien." And Lloyd just like fucking dead serious face was like, "Come again?" Uh man, I don't know. I don't know. Uh Fucking hell. Alright, I guess let's go through this chapter and kind of like go through my thoughts and everything with me. So I've already kind of had like talked about my like doubts and like grievance isn't the right word. What is the word for yeah, I guess grievance is the close one. Trying to think of like I'm trying to think of the proper word. I can't think of it right now. But I talked about the issue before. Well, like, how mental health is something that's close and personal to me specifically. So to have Lloyd, pretending to be a faux therapist, like giving out like phony ass advice to try and like get like try to get information from Melinda and everything like that. I've already kind of talked about like how skeevy it feels a little bit to me, just because of like how much I think mental health therapy and those kinds of things tend to be downplayed and dismissed in real life. So I think trying to make like a joke or a mockery of it really kind of is like shaky grounds to tread. And I guess it's kind of the thing like, oh, it's a comedy series, you're not supposed to take it that seriously, blah blah blah, stuff like that. But again, like, I don't know. I feel like it would have been a little bit more impactful to kind of have like Lloyd when he is in like that little pose, like getting all like hands, and be like, "Oh, like please tell me your secrets, like tell me everything." If he looked a little bit more predatory in that regard, uh, but I don't know, I guess we'll have to see like how the rest of this plays out. If we see him facing any kind of ethical dilemma where he's talking about like, "Oh, I took the Hippocratic oath and all that," and he's just completely faking it. But apart from that, I don't know if I've theorized before, talked about this before, but the fact that we find out that Melinda was a patient in the psychiatry department kind of really did hit close to home. And again, is another place where I'm like, this is trending kind of dangerous territory, because there is a history of women having been, imprisoned inside mental hospitals, with their husbands claiming like, hysteria, as a means of trying to basically subjugate and subdue them, and giving them, like things like lobotomies and things to make them more docile and subservient to them. So there is a real medical history and like problematic medical history or surrounding psychiatry, especially with women with like mental illnesses and people, how they were shamed and abused and mistreated by the system. So having Melinda, who potentially does have an actual mental illness, like we've seen, I've said, she might possibly be schizophrenic, maybe bipolar, with how we've seen her like thinking about and talking about Damien. Is it Damien? Yeah, we're talking about him. It feels like very shaky, tready ground, like the way that Endo's going about this with like, having her be like, straight faced, trying to be like, oh, do you believe in UFOs? I think my husband is an alien. Because again, like, this is something that should be handled with care and tact, and I don't know if Endo is going to be able to handle that. And so it kind of makes me wary about like the direction this arc is heading with like the whole like Lloyd also kind of like trying to play into the delusions of like, oh yeah, UFOs are real, I totally believe in them, like da da da. So I don't know, like this arc kind of has me on edge right now, and it really will depend on like how the next couple of chapters and stuff play out. uh, we'll see like how much opinion on this changes or not. But I don't know. Maybe I'll try to make like a more concrete video regarding this and like my thought process on it. But yeah. So all that said, I hope you all did still enjoy this chapter and this video. If you did, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Until next time, this is Ash. I'll talk to you all later.